All right, so my topic is advancing the industry's technology. Pretty bold statement for a distributor. And I wanted to start with this slide because this is the family of brands that SRS has acquired throughout the years. I'll give you an overview of who SRS Distribution is. How many here live in Austin? How many here have had the need to re-roof because you had a hail event? You'll be familiar with this topic then. All right. So my name is Patrick Garcia. I'm Vice President of Innovation. My group handles all our application development for customer-facing applications, integration, RPA, and analytics. I've got an enterprise architecture background, been in distribution for about 20 years. So most of my life I've been in Oracle consulting and got the chance to live in multiple countries implementing Oracle ERP. So I lived in Japan, Scotland, Singapore, Sweden, and got into building material distribution when I joined USG about 6 years ago. I asked our COO one time, can you explain to me what roofing distribution is? He goes, well, roofing distribution is easy. You buy in bulk, you break it down, you sell it for a profit. And then he goes, then you add the human element to screw it all up, right? But the one thing with building material distribution is such a belly-to-belly industry. It's a relationship-driven industry. So if all the industries have been this has been the one that I really, really enjoy. And again, I'm a karaoke fanatic. I am born and raised in the Philippines, so it's in my genes. All right, give you an idea about SRS Distribution. So founded in 2008, roofing supply, right? So if you think about a 2x2 matrix of uniqueness and value, right? We're valuable because we ship big, bulky, heavy stuff, but we're not unique. So that quadrant is what you call a commodity quadrant. So price is kind of important in that industry. But it's grown through acquisition. When I joined the company about 4 years ago, there's about 140 locations, 1.4 billion at that time. And the company since then got into hardscape, landscape, and then pool supply very recently. We're now the second largest in all three. So the company is about 7,500,000,000 locations now. One unique thing with SRS, or multiple unique things, one of them is it's 25% employee owned, right? So there's an ownership mentality. Every time there is a private equity, what we call a liquidity event, employees share in the growth of the company, right? So you've got that type of mentality in the organization. And I highlighted that in bold. There's a commitment to technology. It doesn't mean we throw money at technology, right? And that's really the passion of the organization, is how do we change the industry that we're in by committing to truly advancing the industry. This is a good visual. This is the strategy of the organization, right? We call this from the fence to the foundation. We don't get into lumber, we don't get into wallboard, and the reason for that is during a recession, right? If you have a hole in your drywall, you're not replacing that. You got a hole in your roof, you're calling your roofer the next day, right? So anything that's outside, anything that's in the elements that will degrade, that's the area we want to be in, right? Because there's repeat business, and of course, weather event just brings that demand forward, right? So when I say advancing the industry, I want you to understand the type of customers we're dealing with, right? So when I joined the company, 70% of our customers in the roofing side said, I don't use any tech to run my business. And that was so true. I met multi-million-dollar customers who run their business on pen, paper, and whiteboard. It's amazing. There's no true roofing B2B platform. There was one implementing Oracle ATG, but I think somebody mentioned a while ago, it's like having somebody, I want to be like Amazon and implement a B2C experience in a B2B world, right? It just didn't feel right in roofing. Price transparency is a concern, and we were one of the first one to do real-time delivery tracking back in 2018. That was a concern too. Then in 2019, we got into hardscape landscape. Very technology averse vertical. We had only one brand that had a true B2B capability. And then we acquired SprinklerWarehouse.com, which is a B2C platform. Great company, has their own studios, videos like, for DIYers, like how to use the sprinkler head. So now we're trying to combine those assets. And then we got into pool, like really fast, right? And what that meant was, that industry is 40% digital. So we thought we were ahead, and now we're really trying to move way faster than we ever did before, right? So that's a target customer that we were trying to influence. So why are we doing this? Two things. We want to eliminate customer friction, right? We want to make sure there's a channel, a digital channel for them to use. We want to make sure that there are internal efficiencies both on our side and their side, right? And in the end, it increases revenue and reduces cost, right? And I mentioned earlier the company's 25% employee-owned. That's the one word that we all understand, EBITDA, right? How does it drive EBITDA across the board? So you've got the shareholder mentality, the true passion and commitment for technology change in the industry. So this was the drawing I did in 2018, and Karthik and I were just reminiscing on this on my whiteboard. But the strategy really is, SRS is built for acquisition. We don't have a data center. Everything was, ERP was in the cloud, Workday, ServiceNow, right? It's built to scale. When we acquire a company, they're on our ERP day one, right? Which means we don't convert history, we don't have multiple ERPs. Great. So from a technology perspective, I can add to that and scale that very quickly. So we had good data, right? So our customers, when we did the survey, most of them said, I want to see my price available. Nobody said I want to order online, right? So we focused on that. So digital commerce is how do I create a channel by creating APIs that I will reuse so that when I build my mobile app and web app that I can use the same component. But I want to make sure the back end scales, right? As we grow in size and complexity, we want automation, we want AI, and want BPM, right? So I'm happy to say, at least you'll see in the presentation, that 3-year journey, at least we got to complete. So what does that look like? This is a typical process in the branch. It's a good illustration of how they all kind of play together. Somebody walks in a branch, places an order. At the counter, it's a will call, so he's waiting. But his order goes on a credit hold, right? He's breached his limit. Gets an credit department gets an email. When they get the chance to see it, they're going to look at reporting systems and then make a decision. Do I release this order or not, right? Imagine that guy waiting 30 minutes for that order decision to take place. And this is what we look like today. So you have a digital order that came in, or you could walk into the branch. That order goes on a hold. We have bots now that pick that order up. Calls a system, a credit management suite of systems that has a model for propensity to default. Will this customer pay his bill? Yes or no? Yes. Release the order. And if there's a need, what we call to have the human in the loop, we have low-code applications where it's also digital, so you could say approve, right? And this is what it looks like for our environment today. So the one thing that I at least want you to understand is that when I started the organization, there was really only 8 people in my department. 4 in the front, 4 in the back. So mainly 4 supporting and 4. So it didn't really take a big team to implement systems like Episerver, Magento, Azure. We actually implemented our APIs on MuleSoft. And then we replatformed to Azure a year later. Vectran, SageMaker. We moved all our databases to Snowflake. And then OutSystems for our code. So partnership was important for us to be able to do this. So what have we done? You know, I want you to look at the top right there. That's going to show you where we're at in the journey that we took. This was back in 2018. We said, okay, let's expose our data to the customer. So we built initially this on MuleSoft. And we replatformed about 1.5 years ago to Azure. But we're doing 10 million API calls now. So if you look at it, our customers are using software to run their business, right? And more so today. So they do real-time pricing, they submit their orders to us, and every time our driver says, I'm en route, I've arrived at the job site, and I've delivered that, those are all business events to move their Kanban automatically. When you invoice an order, when you pay an order, those are all digital endpoints that we push to the customer as well. So imagine that. You're doing business with SRS. When you place an order to the competitor, it's a black box, right? But when you do business with SRS, it's all digital, end-to-end. So when the supply chain constraint, alleviates, who do you think that customer is going to send that order to? Right? To us, because it's all digital. It's the easiest way to do business with. And we use that API, the same set of APIs we exposed to our customers, and we built our first mobile app in 2018. In 6 months after we implemented the API layer, we implemented mobile. So this is on Xamarin. So 3 things that we use when we're selecting software. Has to be a top quadrant software. can scale when we scale and has to have a low barrier of entry, right? And the thing is enterprise fit. So I met Karthik 4.5 years ago. I didn't have PHP developers. I had .NET developers. So I had to pick EpiServer, which is an e-com platform. And then we built custom Roof Hub because e-commerce didn't really fit our industry, right? But when we acquired SprinklerWarehouse.com, they were on Magento, and our whole hardscape, landscape, and poolside is on Magento. And what did we release? So your typical B2B capabilities, but we took it above and beyond. So we have our customers' data in Azure, right? So we partnered with the Hail Map company. If you've ever seen a hail map, right, so it's you like 2.5-inch size hail, you could overlay that hail map in our platform and see if you've ever done business in that area before. That's instant lead generation. So when hail hits Texas, that's our second most popular page in the website because they're all looking at homes that they've built before. Now they know exactly what's on that roof. Payable supplier promotions, and then online ordering on the mobile app as well. One thing we realized is customers adopt when the sales reps adopt. And we did not have a CRM platform. So last January, we wireframed our own CRM Lite on Roof Hub, which was our customer-facing mobile app. So there's now a new employee login that shows our territory managers their commissions, their sales to date, their sales to month, and sales to year budget. They can see all their customers' orders being tracked in real time. So before our branch gets called by the customer, our TMs are calling the branch, right? We're showing them their daily sales ranking for that day, and they can share it so they can brag about it. They can see their customers, right? They're trailing 12. What are they buying? Their rebates, their payables. It is a CRM Lite experience. But now when a customer asks our rep, do you know what this Roof Hub thing is? They'll say, yeah, I use it every day. Here, let me show you. So from an adoption perspective, having the ops side in and using the application also is critical. And it's not just an impersonation feature, right? You kind of have to give them a God mode or God view to all their customers. With that, we also released the web capabilities back in March 2020. Talk about luck. That's when COVID hit, and suddenly digital mattered, right? So in 2 years, we did almost $850 million in digital revenue, starting from zero. We were deploying fixes on a daily basis that website was so used. And there's more to do. So we're about 15% of our revenue, at least on the residential side. My team's working on a product catalog for siding and commercial to really get that business into play. And of course, our Heritage Plus and Heritage Pool Plus platform. But I got to thank DCKAP for this. We're now about 12, 15 brands live in the platform. Let's just say when we initially I told Karthik I owed him a beer for not thinking of him right away. But we acquired a company that had a partner. Let's just say it's one of those big partners in the space. And they botched up that Magento implementation for 6 months. And I called up Karthik and say, can you help me with this? And did they? They scaled that team. And within 6 months, we have 12 brands for 2 different verticals on that platform. And we're really pushing the envelope of what we can do with Magento as well. So I want to thank Magento and DCKAP for this one. But look at that. We launched it in November 2021, right? And we're only, how many months in, and we have all these brands in the platform. So that's on the front side. So backside, the challenge sometimes with strategy is that you're all focused on, I'm not saying y'all, I'm just saying people sometimes tend to focus on, I need an e-com platform. But how do you scale the back end, right? Why is that important? The good thing with scalable enterprises, with automation and AI, is every time you do something in an automated fashion, there's a branch multiplier. If I save an hour per personnel per branch, that's times 500 now, right? And now those inside sales reps can focus on value-added activities. And so when we grow through acquisition, we don't need to keep adding people. Again, drives EBITDA for the organization. So in SRS Distribution, we had 20 bots now in multiple departments. Accounting, right? Cycle counts, credit review, safety. Anytime there's a mundane, repetitive task, we have 2 bot developers, really 1.5, because one focuses more on the support side of it, right? We automate as much as possible. So we use UiPath for that software. AI. So we built this when we launched the app. We said, hey, you know what, in roofing, it's this, they buy the same 150 items. You look at the roofs outside your homes, it's the same kind of patterns, the same material, same color. So after about the 5th order, our machine learning model in SageMaker can effectively predict not just the item, but the full roof order. So what did we build? We moved our data to Snowflake. We said SQL is not going to scale, even if it's a hosted SQL environment. So all our data now is in Snowflake. That's where we run our financial systems as well. So if you look at RoofHub, we predict your item. When you pick, let's say, weatherwood for that shingle, it'll start to predict the color of the accessories. And we integrate with companies like EagleView. So EagleView, they have planes that take high-quality photos of roofs and use machine learning to take the measurement of the house. And we have formulas that can calculate the quantity once you import that data in. So we predict your item, we predict your color, and we calculate your quantity. We're about to release something that if I place an order for roof in a specific county, it's going to tell you, hey, you're going to need ice and water for Collin County to do a roof, right? Because the people entering orders, they're not roofers. They're some back office person that just got handed in the order. So our focus was, how do I make this so accurate for the consumer? And of course, digital transformation. This is how we used to dispatch stuff, right? What's funny about that picture, it's hard to see, but the guy had our dispatching system up and running, but yet putting together a plan for the drivers in paper, right? So if you do that, I can't tell the customer when the order is about to arrive. And so we built a calendar view for them to drag and drop their orders. And so that's why we implemented a low-code platform called OutSystems. So if you're using Appian, Pega, kind of the same systems. But with that, we built our own price management app. So now when a branch, there's a price increase, thank God, right, for especially in nowadays, it's all digital. And there's red, yellow, green stoplights to say which one's dropping in margin. The next thing we're going to do there is put price optimization so that we can say for this customer, for this market, this should be the price for my floor target and stretch. So instead of buying a price optimization software, we built one. Our customer rebate process, anything that is done either through paper, we digitized in our low-code platform. And of course, now that we can develop apps in 4 to 6 weeks, we use it in our innovation lab. So if you ever go to our headquarters, we have our own innovation lab. We can go from idea, right, to solution. So what is that? So we realized, for example, the Home Depot lockers and the Amazon lockers for pickup doesn't work for roofing. Our stuff's big. But we realized anything is a locker, right? A job locker, a shipping container, a fence. I just need to secure it. So we partnered with MasterLock. We built an app. This is a digital lock, by the way. We partnered with MasterLock, built our own app that's SMS-driven for us to be able to do lockers in the roofing industry. This one, COVID killed this idea, but pretty cool idea. We built an app. It's called the Virtual Sales Assistant. So if you've ever seen an interactive teller machine, you push Korean and there's somebody that speaks Korean on the other side. So we have a growing Latino community. I was in Georgia. Somebody spoke Spanish. I'm Filipino. We couldn't speak Spanish. The guy walked out. That's lost business. So we built an app where you could touch it, press a button, and it uses 8x8 and Twilio on the other end to put somebody on the SRS side that can speak Spanish to you. Great idea, but nobody wanted to touch the screen during COVID, right? But we didn't spend too much money putting an application like this together, right? It's a 4 to 6 week project, and if it needed to scale, we can scale. And this is really how my team operates. You've seen what we've done on the commerce side. You've seen what we've done on the back-end side. But now that we have all the tools and technology needed, and again, I stress that we started with a team of 8, now we're about 20, right? These are what the field would send us. Hey, can you build us a curbside app that looks like that? And a picture of Dunkin' Donuts that shows order in progress. So we did. We built it in 6 weeks, right? This is my favorite picture because this is how our group operates. This is Chick-fil-A, multi-billion-dollar company. What they were trying to do is, can I do virtual sales? So they put a stand together with a speakerphone, an iPad that they glued on, with an external microphone and FaceTime, right? They didn't spend a lot of money to try it out. They just cobbled something together and say, does this idea work? And that's really what we try to do on the innovation side. So some of the key lessons that I want to impart the group here, I know advancing the industry is such a bold statement, and I feel that we really moved the needle in all three verticals of the organization, but I want to stress on three key things. If you truly want to innovate and advance the industry, it has to be a conscious strategic commitment for your organization. It cannot be a side project of your enterprise architecture team and two guys doing something on the side. I think Evan mentioned it's like a skunk work project. It has to be a commitment for the organization, because if there's none, it's never going to fly in the industry. You have to have a consistent, clear strategy. I mentioned that strategy was the strategy we had in 2018, and we stuck to it because we knew exactly how the front and the back side is going to affect each other. If I expose a digital commerce platform, how do I automate the back end? And for the size of team that I had, we couldn't do it just by ourselves. We needed key partners like DCKAP to be able to either do the creative side of it initially when we built Roof Hub, all the way to implementing our full Magento stack for the two new verticals we were in, right? Last but not the least, and I hope it kind of resonates when I talk about this, is that your group has to have that relentless and passionate pursuit to create something different, right? I was part of another organization that competes with SRS back then, and we were trying to do digital. We signed a deal with one of the big four to do persona development, talk to Bob the Builder and create a persona out of it, right? I didn't understand it because we haven't really had the chance to sit down and look at how our customers run their business. So when I got to SRS, bypassed all that and sat into the offices of how our customers run their business. And a lot of those ideas came out of that. Homeowner walks in and says, have you ever done Biscayne Blue before for a roof? And then they look at their notebooks, like, I have that data. So if I build a search engine, I'll show you in the map where it is, right? Hill hits Texas, right? Which homes did I do before? Well, I have that data too. So those are ideas that came out. And of course, everybody's going to say, oh, you need a product catalog. Now in roofing, we needed to influence what they were buying through automation. And that's the key thing, is that relentless and passionate pursuit to deliver a customer experience. So I only had 20 minutes. It's been a 3-year journey for the company, but at least what you could see is that when you're looking at digital transformation and you're trying to make an impact to your customers, digital has to be complemented by back-end automation, and you really have to build capabilities that help your customers when it comes to doing their business. And when you got those two mix, you'll see your digital adoption start to go up. That's it. Thank you.